You sustained serious damage to your right hip, Dr. Singh says, holding them up to the light. It's not the first time I've seen my bones. I can still spot the fracture on my right femur from when Royalwood's catcher, who was built like a brick shithouse, landed on me when I slid into home during the summer league when I was 12. I heard the crack on impact, but the ump called me safe. I lay in the dirt for a second, relishing the cheering before everyone realized I wasn't getting up. My coccyx is crooked from being broken twice. Once when I fell off Nancy Wagner's horse, and again when it was my turn to be taken out at the plate by a runner. I held on to the ball, even though I had literally broken my ass, and she was out. We won that game too, and the girls signed the donut pillow I had to sit on for a month. But those injuries were nothing compared to this. We put 3 screws in your hip, my surgeon says, but he hardly needs to explain. I can see them, denser than my bones, so clearly defined that the threading even stands out. I grit my teeth together, remembering the time I helped my dad put up drywall, particles flying in my face as I drilled in screws. How much bone dust is on the floor of that operating room? How much of me was left behind when I was wheeled in? And can my legs still work with what remains? I want to ask, but I don't get the chance because Mom comes barreling in. She's wearing pajamas and her hair is a disaster, but she plucks the x-rays from Dr. Singh's hand like someone with authority, holding them up to the light. I didn't cry when I landed in the field, mouthful of blood. I didn't cry when they separated me from Carolina, or when I saw the meat of my leg, red and raw underneath the antiseptic lights of the ambulance. I didn't cry when I woke up lost and alone, wondering if I was still in one piece. But I cry now. I cry when Mom's face falls at the sight of those screws, her mouth turning the way it did last year right before she told me about the divorce. I cry because the pain has begun, a fiery hand clasping onto the hip that burns right through whatever they gave me to stop it. The nurse notices and puts a button in my hand, curling my fingers around it. For the pain, she says. In the middle of their senior year, Mickey Catalin and her best friend Carolina fell victim to the icy roads of a winter night. And after a car crash threatens her upcoming senior softball season, Mickey's working harder than ever to overcome the serious injuries she sustained from the accident. Carolina's arm is hurt, but it's Mickey with the serious injury to her leg, one that will keep her off her feet for at least 12 weeks, according to Dr. Singh. Her painkillers help her work through the pain at physical therapy and when the screws in her hip start to burn into her leg, but the dose that she's been given doesn't seem to be enough. She meets an older woman named Edith who sells her more of the Oxycontin, but soon enough, it isn't enough. What happens when popping pills turns into something more jarring? Heroine by Mindy McGinnis tells the darker side of a sports story in that it doesn't really focus on the actual action or playing of the sport, but rather how softball makes Mickey, the protagonist, feel, and how she sort of has a downward spiral into drug use and abuse. Something that's a pretty serious topic of conversation in today's society. I highly recommend it. Time, I call, throwing off my mask and shouting back over my shoulder to the ump as I run to my friend, coach closing in from the sidelines. We reach her at the same moment, but Carolina waves off help, coming to her feet just as I waver a little on mine, the sprint not doing me any favors. Carolina, Jesus, Mickey, what the hell happened to you? I try to talk, but suddenly there's too much strength required to force words out between my teeth. I sit down hard, shin guards buckling and chest protector pushing up into my chin. Mickey? Carolina has followed me to the ground, her arm cupped protectively in her glove. There are dots in my vision, and if they were white like snow instead of black, this could almost be the night of the crash. Me crumpled, Carolina standing over me, both of us hurt. I clear my throat and spit, wiping a fresh wave of sweat from my brow. You okay? I ask, strength returning now that I don't have to stand. Yeah, I'm okay, she says. Just some ice. I'll be fine. Lydia and the third baseman get underneath each of my arms and get me to my feet, something the crowd applauds even though they have no idea why I went down in the first place. I make eye contact with Mom and give her a little wave as they escort me into the dugout, where I collapse onto the bench, happy for once to see it. I'm surprised when Carolina plops down next to me, close enough that our legs touch. You're both done. Rest of the game, Coach says, the brim of her hat almost touching our upturned faces. I'm not crippling my starting lineup playing Petkana. Nikki, get this gear on. Britt, you're pitching. Her face lights up, but Nikki is nice enough to apologize as she strips me of my gear, undoing the left leg as I work on the right. I got it. You rest, she says, with an even mix of concern and excitement in her voice. I let Nikki take my gear, leaning forward so she can pull off the chest protector over my head. The helmet is still in the dirt halfway between home and the mound where I left it. She runs onto the field, the relief pitcher by her side, both of them damn near giddy. Shit, Carolina says, her head sagging to rest on my shoulder, all the friction between us erased by shared misery and embarrassment. Yeah, I agree, closing my eyes. Shit.